So, I get this question more often than I want, but it's to be expected because it's not like you can go and talk to Marvel and be asking about the one above all, or going to DC and ask about the presents, so, or going to Stan Lee and asking about Gone. So, y'all come to me and you ask me about the Voyagers. You ask about the strongest Voyager. Or I guess I should say the one who sits on top of Heir to the Stars in Heir's Ending. And when asking me about, it's not even just her value, like, you can't even ask me about her power, because when y'all asking about her power, it's like, it's irrelevant. Like, to her, technically to any Voyager, everything within Heir to the Stars is irrelevant. But you have to actually go into Heir to the Stars and break it down. You have to understand just how far and how deep. You wanna go inside? You have to understand just how deep Heir to the Stars is, how vast Heir to the Stars is. Anyone who's like, they try to debunk it, they failed. I'll tell you right now, they already failed. No one can debunk it at this point. I'm not trying to sound arrogant, but it's reality. You have a question, I have an answer. You have an interpretation, I'll tell you the truth. And I'll give you all the links to show you why I'm right. But Heir to the Stars and Heir's Ending, and ironically, there's a few other ones, cosmological hierarchies that I have in the works. So all of that, you take all of that and then think, where are the Voyagers? And then the one everyone wants to talk about, the one who sits on top, a few things to say. She has a daughter, Shauna. If you haven't seen her profile, look her up. Shauna is her daughter. The father of Shauna is the Silver Devil, Christopher Sincere Pride. Obviously, he's not on the level of his daughter or a Voyager. And then, of course, you're going to I know y'all going to ask about that relationship. How did that happen? Why did she choose him to make a daughter with? All of that in due time. That's coming. But other than that, she has a daughter. Y'all know her sisters. Y'all know her mother. She's had, 3 or 4 appearances. And they've all been at pretty much significant times. As for a story, in terms of character, she's definitely cold. But, I get so many questions, it makes me want to just write a short story, maybe a microfiction, on all the Voyagers, showing their interactions with Heir to the Stars and Heir's Ending, and maybe that's how I introduce the other cosmological hierarchies that aren't here yet. But there's really no point in me showing what they can do, because Heir to the Stars cannot reach them. Obviously, you're talking to me, the author, yes. But in the context of the story, in the context of what they are, what they can do, you cannot reach them. There's no abilities or whatnot. Although I can make that, I can demonstrate something like that. And there are stories. If you have paid attention to Heir to the Stars, if you've paid attention to the work, there are characters that are trying to reach them, because the other side of Heir to the Stars is to get rid of basically the higher level characters. All the characters that can be considered, those transfictional authors, the transfictional omnipotence, all those type of entities, all those type of statuses. There are characters climbing up to get rid of that, to make a legitimate, true freedom. Now understand, also remember, my cosmic and the cosmic hierarchy, there are levels that stuff, it's still not defined. There are characters whose abilities, quite honestly, still haven't been completely fleshed out. So you're going to see just how large, how grand some of these characters are, how some of these layers are. But no matter what, they can't reach the feet of a Voyager. And you do have an idea of how close some characters are to the Voyagers. Go look at the tier list. Those are the questions y'all should be asking, because that tier list is a definite on measurement, and it clearly shows you who are the closest to the Voyagers. And only a few more people will get added to that. But I'll say this: Alex Victory, he can't reach them.